Ida, we love old buildings. We buy a ton of old buildings, we renovate old buildings, and we love keeping old buildings. So one of our favorite projects has been collaborating with the Jones Log Barn project and utilizing historic wood from the Fritz lumber yard and donating that so that they could finish the rebuild. It's a very cool project. It's a living history museum. People come here from all over to visit Valley Forge Park. And one thing that we forget is our local history, and the Jones Log Barn is part of that local history. So check it out. It's a very cool place to be.
Hi, I'm Pattye Benson. I'm president of Tradifferent Historic Preservation Trust, and we're standing in the Jones Log Barn Living History Center in Chesterbrook. I like to think I walk the walk and talk the talk every day when it comes to historic preservation and local history. We are excited after 17 years of raising funds and raising awareness that we are finally able to open Jones Log Barn Living History Center. The Jones Log Barn Living History Center is next to the Federal Barn and the Duportail house, which are 18th century properties that are part of Chesterbrook and are used for events. So we're really thrilled to be able to have the building reconstructed here. It was originally on private property. It had to be demolished and the logs were saved, preserved, and then we had raised money to rebuild. The structure is actually built on a stone foundation that was an original barn. So people think, really, were there two barns next to each other in Chesterbrook? Yes, there were. But back in the 1960s, a barn that was on this property actually was taken down by fire. And so it was an empty space. And so we feel like that this barn has come back to roost, so to speak, next to where it may have been at one time. And it was indeed an 18th century log barn. It's one of the earliest English style log barns in the Mid-Atlantic region, which is why it's so special and why we needed to save it. Sometimes in life you're lucky enough to come across people that just make you smile. And Stacey Ballard just happens to be one of those people. From the beginning, years and years ago, when we would have our annual historic house tour, which we did for 15 years. The last one was in 2019, pre-COVID. Every year we would have sponsors, and every year, without fail, Stacey Ballard and Ida Enterprises was always top of the list. Sometimes they do things without even being asked. The best example I can give of late, which is really special, we were completing the Jones Log Barn Living History Center. An earthen ramp had to be built to the backside of the barn. Having raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for this project, you know, I'm to the point where it was really difficult. Now, how am I going to raise more money? You know when somebody does almost too much for you and you hate to ask for something else? Because Ida has been so beyond generous. The last thing I was going to do was ever ask for their help in any way. First she posted on this Facebook page, "Call me." And then I was like, oh gosh. And so the next day I call her and I explained what I needed. She goes, "Why didn't you just come to me?" And I said, "Because you've already done so much." And there's where the disconnect is, because she's just one of those generous people, as is Ida Enterprises. And she had architect come out, look at it. She had roofer come out that had to put the covering on the bottom of the barn to protect the wood. Then this wonderful landscape company comes out, brings the rocks that came from some site somewhere. Instead of just putting grass seed down, we had real sod put down. I'm like, in my perfect world, we, the trust, could never have afforded the level of which they provided. The Tradifferent Historic Preservation Trust, it's 501c3 nonprofit, and has a website, tradifferenthistory.org, and all the upcoming events, whether there's lectures or whatever, are on the website. If you're interested in joining, we always have spots at the table on the board of directors, and we're always looking for people that are interested in local preservation and history. If making the commitment to join the board of directors may be too much at first, we always have volunteer opportunities, whether it's helping out at a lecture. Maybe you're a speaker and you would like to give a talk on local history. We'd love to have that. We'd also want to join our mailing list to be kept up to date.